Maurice. How are you?
We on the show. What's up, Mike?
I am good. I want to welcome everybody to Game 25 of the Real Racquetball Show. Thank you for joining us. So how you doing, Maurice? How are you?
As you can see, I'm totally excited. Get to do the Real Racquetball Show. Monday night, typical Monday night. Can't complain. How about yourself? How was your weekend?
Good. It was good. Yeah, it's the first preseason game of the NFL season, so it was good.
Didn't know that.
Didn't know. Chiefs played their first game Saturday night, so it was good. Yeah, and of course they won, so it was good.
Yeah, Chiefs, yeah. I'm a Falcons fan, so we're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah, it's preseason. Doesn't really matter. It's all just organized practice for them, so it doesn't win anyways. So have you been on the court much? Have you got to play a lot?
Back in the day, I used to be able to do that. Now, no, I got to play Saturday. I think I did a lesson Sunday and Friday, Thursday and Sunday. I typically do more lessons now than I actually get to play. Just trying to give back to the sport as much as I can. I got to do that for a little bit. So I got to dust off the sticks for a little bit. We got to prepare for U.S. Open, obviously, coming up. So we're going to try and hit it hard. How about Mike? You been on the court yet? It's been a couple shows now.
Yes.
You did get on the court?
No. I thought about it, though. I really did.
What?
I talked to several people about it, so I will. I really am.
We got to get a pack, Mike.
By next show. Partner a couple of days ago, and I'm gonna be out of town the last half of this week, and I'm gonna be out of town most of next week.
Okay.
So in 3 weeks, I will. I hope.
That's before or after the next. I might be after next, but second show, we gotta get at least one.
I know. I need to. I really do. I miss it. I really do miss it.
All right.
So, speaking of good racquetball, did you get a chance to watch any of the World Singles and Doubles?
I did.
Good racquetball.
There were a couple. I was busy a lot, but there were a couple matches I got to watch. There's a lot of players that clearly have taken the time of COVID away to improve. There's a few players which I'm pretty hype about watching. I like racquetball, period. Whether I'm winning or losing, just seeing good play. There were a few upsets, but at the end of the day, to me, a seed's a number. If you two step on the court, whoever wins is going to win that day. It is what it is. So I was excited. Do I wish I was there? Absolutely. I like competing, but I had some other stuff come up. So hopefully we can do Chicago, me and Troy. And then if not, US Open. Yeah, it'd be good to get on a stage like that before the Open gets there. If you can get in and compete, just to see the pace and the speed. From everything I've heard, it was a good event. So congrats to Jim and everybody who was there. Congrats to the winners.
Yes.
But good things to say.
Yeah, and we sent Connor was there for a full day on Friday. Met with a lot of people. Really came back with a lot of positive things about the event. Loved the way it was laid out and was run. Just great things to say about it. And then Steve Zarnicki, the board member, went on Saturday and spent most of the day. So we got to send a couple people to go check it out, shake hands, say hi, watched a lot of good racquetball. I was able to watch a lot of. We talked last episode about the mixed doubles.
Yeah.
And so I did check out a couple of the matches and
okay.
Really, really good. It was intriguing and as exciting as I thought it would be.
Good.
But they set up the matches I watched. I didn't watch all of them by any means, but the ones I did watch, the sides were switched. In normal skill level mixed doubles, the guy and the gal kind of line up together and they serve each other. At the pro level, all the matches I watched, I think I watched 4 of them. They were switched. The guys were on opposite sides and they were basically serving to the girls. But they're skilled enough that it was phenomenal to watch.
But I say in pros, it didn't really matter at that point. It's whoever was executing.
Yeah, it was great. It was fun to watch. Really exciting racquetball. So I hope tournaments keep that division open. That was fun to watch.
Yep.
Well, we've got a special guest this evening that we put out a lot of information about. We've invited Ganim to the show.
Yep.
We're going to talk to him after a little bit. get some questions about how the U.S. Open's coming, what all is going with that. But before we get to that, we really want to talk to everybody and ask for your help. We need your nominations for Real Racquetball Champions.
Yep.
So far, we've had 10 champions so far.
11.
And here's a show of all of the individuals that have won the Real Racquetball Champion. These individuals are all racquetball champions. They're doing great things behind the scenes and promoting racquetball in a variety of different ways, whether it's junior programs, adult classes. If you remember, Thomas Davis built a court at his house and is running leagues and such. He's got racquetball going in Branson, Missouri. Larry Wynn's been running leagues forever. A lot of them, I could go through all of them. The Cyril sisters have done some amazing things up in California. So we're really looking for the viewers of the show to send in nominations. You can send them to cshane@usaracquetball.com. That's CSHANE. You can email them, mail them, text them, however you want to promote someone in your area or someone you know across the country that's doing great things with racquetball on a grassroots level that isn't getting noticed on a national level. Just send us their story, tell us what they're doing. We'll reach out to them. We're looking for racquetball champions across the country. We just want to we want them to tell their story so everybody across the country can hear what they're doing and learn from them. It's amazing. Several of the champions we've had, the next day after the show, I got calls from several different people asking for their contact information.
Really?
Yeah, they wanted to know how they were doing what they were doing. The Cyril sisters. I think I got 2 or 3 calls from parents asking what they were, is it okay if we reach out to them? Of course it is. Learn from them, figure out what they're doing, help grow the sport. So send us your nominations. We're not looking for the rock stars. We're looking for those that are doing it behind the scenes. So if there's somebody in your club that's doing clinics, running leagues, running tournaments that you think deserves to be noticed and promoted, send us their information.
That's the part, like you're saying, that gets unnoticed. It's sometimes so much attention goes to the finished product of something, like let's say running a tournament. It's like, oh, the event was successful, but so many people behind the scenes, or even if it was that one tournament director, put in so much work in order for that to happen. It's sometimes the volunteers or the people who, don't really ask for the attention or just doing something to do it, just giving them some sort of appreciation might mean the world to them, even if they don't want it. Or a lot of people who I talk to don't like attention like that. I don't like attention like that, but yeah, here I am.
Your friend Tara.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a great example of that.
She had texted me the next day. Like I told her, she texted me the next day saying, thank you again, and it was something that was over a decade ago that was started, So even if they're doing it for fun or whatever, you never know, a token of gratitude could go a long way for somebody. So please send nominations.
JT Arball, our first Real Racquetball champion. He's all the enormous amount of work that he puts in, and a lot of it's done off the court. So we're not looking for somebody that's specifically a court rat, but they're the ones that are doing great things to help grow the sport. And, JT was our first one, and he was such an easy, obvious pick because of all of the work that he does that gives access for people to find out where courts are. I mean, that's an enormous amount of work. I don't think people realize how hard that is to maintain. I mean, every court in the country, he's got an database and is still adding and taking. So anyway, those are what we're looking for. So send them in. Help us tell people, pat these folks on the back. Okay, let's bring Doug on and let's talk a little bit of U.S. Open and it's 25th anniversary. It's coming up here pretty quick. It's going to be a huge celebration. Welcome to the show, Doug.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You bet. We'd love the time to chat about the U.S. Open. It's kind of a unique one in that it was postponed, and what an odd amount of work that had to be. And there's certainly questions swirling around about are we going to have the U.S. Open this year? And we figure the best way to handle this is just get you to come on the show and tell everybody tell us a little bit about what's happened since it got postponed and where we're at with this year's event.
Well, thanks, Mike and Maurice. Again, happy to be here. Happy to talk about the U.S. Open. Obviously, last year was tough. It was going to be a mammoth celebration. We had a record turnout of players, ticket sales, gold boxes were sold out way in advance. Sponsorship was through the roof, and then obviously we had to postpone the event. So the 25th anniversary of the U.S. Open, which was supposed to be in 2020, is going to take center stage here in October in Minneapolis. And all indications are that we're going to be running the U.S. Open on the dates that it's scheduled, October 6th to the 10th. And obviously it was a lot of extra work to do all the, cancellations with all the contracts and renegotiations and, just all the hassles of having to postpone something of this magnitude. But anyway, we got through it and I'm excited. I'm excited to finally get this celebration going. And I think there's a tremendous pent-up demand for racquetball right now. As you saw, typically an event in the summertime has never really done very well in racquetball. If Jim would have called me and said, hey, how many do you think I'm going to get in August? I'd have said, 100 people if you're lucky. And, he had to shut off the draw at 300. He couldn't take any more.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pent-up demand. We're through the roof for the U.S. Open numbers on every single metric. Hotel rooms are almost completely gone. If you have not booked your host hotel, all the racquetball players are staying in the host hotels. Mm-hmm. Embassy Suites, I called them today, which is a brand new hotel. They built one block from the Target Center. They built it for the Super Bowl. And it's a gorgeous hotel, and they gave us an incredible rate, $139 for up to 4 people in a room, and it's a 2-room suite, and it's Skyway connected to the Target Center. You don't even have to walk outside if you don't want. You can just walk through the Skyway. Yeah. Anyway, we have 130 rooms in our block over there. We have 15 left.
Wow.
The Hampton Inn and Suites, which we have 100 rooms booked over there, and they only have like 16 rooms left. So. Wow. The Hyatt Centric is also downtown. It's about 6 blocks away. A very, very high-end hotel. Beautiful. They've got a dozen rooms left. And then for the people who are driving in, we do have a couple host hotels where you don't have to pay for parking. Spring Hill Suites, and then the Embassy Suites out near Fridley. And they both have plenty of rooms still available. But if you're planning on flying in and taking the shuttle or the train downtown, you're really locked into our host hotels. Right. Of course, you could stay at another downtown hotel, but you miss a lot of the fun when you do that. Having a hotel filled with racquetball players, there's nothing like it.
Yep.
The bar.
You never who you're going to get on an elevator with.
Yep.
Yeah, the lobby. I mean, those of you remember in the evenings at the U.S. Open, the players are congregating until midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning every night. Yeah. The Embassy Suites has an Irish pub in the lobby called Lions Pub. They have great food. They're open till 2 o'clock in the morning. So,
that'll be a popular spot.
Yeah, it'll be packed every night.
Yeah. Well, especially with a couple of the restaurants downtown are gone now. So those type of restaurants in the hotels, the bars and the restaurants in the hotels are going to be very popular.
Yeah, it's interesting. We lost about 6 of our restaurant partners. They either went out of business or they're, working at limited hours right now. Right. But then there were some new ones that opened, believe it or not. Some great restaurants that opened. So there's still a ton of restaurants right downtown, right around the Target Center. Yeah. And, you're going to have your pick of the litter. You won't be hurting for food.
No. Good. Well, with changes in the COVID stuff, what's the feel and temperature for COVID in Minneapolis now? What do you think? What do you see the U.S. Open having for COVID restrictions or safety protocols?
So there's no mask mandates in the Twin Cities at the moment for indoor dining or indoor, Now you have individual businesses that have created their own rules, retailers and some restaurants. Lifetime Fitness is not. They don't require a mask to walk in the club. Now, of course, that could change. From all the research I've done on this Delta variant, it rises very quickly. And if you saw the numbers in the UK and in Israel, they reached their peak infections pretty quickly, and then it really plummeted pretty quickly. So as fast as it went up, that's how fast it went down. And if you follow the research on it right now, it looks like it's going to peak in the next 10 days in the United States. Some have already predicted it's peaking right now.
Okay.
So unfortunately, that's a national number. Each state in the country is going to have their own peak. So when they talk about it peaking right now or in the next 10 days on a national basis, it could be just starting to peak in some states or just climbing the peak. And in other states, it's on the way down. But the average across the United States looks like the next 10 days is when it'll peak. And then if you look in Israel and the UK, it plummeted within 3 weeks after the peak. It was way, 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 way down. So I suspect that we'll follow the same pattern, but it'll be a rolling thing throughout the United States. And so Minnesota, they have one of the highest vaccination rates in the United States, which is kind of interesting to me. I wouldn't have thought that, but they do. They have one of the highest vaccination rates of any state in the country. And so therefore, right now, the Delta variant is not a huge issue in that state. Now, with that said, for instance, the university, they have instituted mask mandates for all their students. So at the moment, we can't use the courts at the university. And we use it as an overflow club on Monday or on Thursday during the tournament. We use it for one day. And it's very convenient. It's close to downtown, beautiful facility, stadium glass court. All the other courts have glass back walls. Matter of fact, they have 2 stadium courts, back wall, sidewall glass. Great facility. But as of today, I wouldn't be able to use it, so I would have to use another Lifetime Fitness club, which is kind of my backup plan for that overflow. But like I said, if this thing peaks in the next 10 days and then plummets, by the time we get to October, there could be no mask mandates anywhere. So we'll just play it by ear. I will answer a question that I'm sure people have. What if they do have a mask mandate or occupancy limits, or that's a worst case scenario for us? We are not going to play racquetball with a mask on. It's not going to happen at the U.S. Open. If the situation gets to the point where they have to mandate masks and only 50% occupancy in health clubs and all that, well, that'll probably happen within weeks of the tournament, maybe 10 days before, 2 weeks before, and then I'll have to postpone the date. And I will run it as soon as possible afterwards. Like I said, I don't think this is going to be a long-term thing. But right now, I am very confident that we're going to run the U.S. Open on the dates that it's scheduled, October 6th through the 10th, and I would encourage everybody to proceed as that's the case. I would enter the tournament immediately. Our numbers are through the roof, and we are going to cut off the draw. We can only take so many players. Ticket sales are booming. Gold boxes have been sold out for 6 months. We have 91 people on a waiting list. We're trying to expand the stadium and add about 100 more gold seats. So if you're still interested, it's probably worth it to get on the waiting list in case we're successful in expanding the gold seating. Where are we going to expand it? We're going to go right behind the back wall, which is the best seats in the house, right behind the tables, and we're going to do 3 rows of gold seats before you get to the general admission. So a general admission ticket is now going to be much higher up in the stadium. And we really don't have a choice because the demand for gold seats is through the roof, and I really we need that support for the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah,
So anyway,
that's a great value too. I don't know that people really understand the value of that ticket, the gold seat. That every time I've gone to the U.S. Open, I've always, because I was either on the board or was able to buy or get a gold seat ticket, and it's the way you want to experience the U.S. Open. I mean,
if you have the wherewithal to do it, it's the way. I mean, so what do you get for it? Obviously, you get the best seats in the house, and they're not plastic chairs. You get a cushioned chair. It can, you're sitting there for a long time, sometimes 8-10 hours you're watching matches, and to be in a cushioned chair instead of a metal bleacher it's much more comfortable. You get an assigned seat, and you're the only one that's allowed to sit in that seat. Obviously, some people sneak in, and we have to boot them out. We're constantly doing that. And believe it or not, it's my gold box holders that are doing it. I got one guy sitting over here with his name, but he wants to sit over there. Even though he has a gold seat, he'll go sit in another gold person. So we got to go get that guy and move him back to his seat. I'm not going to drop any names, but so anyway, you get an assigned seat, which is huge because you can go out to dinner and come back, and you still have your seat. You can go to the bathroom and come back, and you still have your seat. With general admission, as soon as you leave your seat, somebody grabs your seat, and you're. So, we got people up there dying to go to the bathroom, and they can't. They lose their seat. The Pro Gold Lounge is probably the biggest benefit. We have an amazing, fully catered Pro Gold Lounge that's just spectacular. And it's got food beyond belief. Some of the finest restaurants in Minneapolis serve, and we have filet mignons on Thursday night from Ruth Chris Steakhouse. We have chocolate fountains and ice carvings, and the only people allowed in there are the top 32 men and women pros, are U.S. Open sponsors, and gold box holders. There's some VIPs like board members that get gold seats, but that's it. It's a very, very, very small group. Out of about 3,000, 4,000 attendees, you're talking about 300 that are allowed in there. And so you don't have to buy any food. Your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and snacks and desserts. And we have a Dairy Queen cooler in there. You can pull out Buster bars and Dilly bars until you throw up. It's really an amazing, and it's really all glory to my staff. If you guys had to count on me to do the cooking, you'd be in bad shape.
It's amazing. I'd say it's what hooked me on the U.S. Open was that level of service. It's worth it. Everybody that can, and if they're able to squeeze in a seat, boy, it's worth it. Get on that waiting list because it's
the last piece that people really love is the open bar. You have wine, champagne, beer, bottled water, soda, everything's on the house, and it's in your seat as well. So we have waitresses that service the gold box holders and gold box seat holders. You just raise your hand, they come over, they take your order. You can have a glass of wine, a glass of champagne, you can have a mimosa, you can have a Coors, Killian's, anything we serve. A Coca-Cola, you can have a Dasani water. And it's all you want for 5 days, morning, noon, and night. And it's obviously open bar up on the Gold Lounge, but also at your seat in the stadium. So when you add it all up, a regular admission ticket's $139. A gold seat's $850. Between having the best seat in the house and all your food and drink covered, and the comfortable chair and the waitresses, and being able to get up close to the pros, Sometimes it's hard to approach them, at the tournament because they're in game mode. But if you catch them with a big plate of food, you can just plop right down on the couch and sit right next to Rocky Carson and pick his brain. So, it's a great place to meet the pro players in a very disarming way. They don't have their game face on in the Pro Gold Lounge. They're going up there to pig out on some chocolate fountain.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really fun. It's worthwhile. We we had a couple questions. You've answered several of them already, but we got a couple of them that people had sent in, and I'll check the comments and see who's doing those good things. But someone sent in and asked a question about the viewership and it being on TV or ESPN or used to be on the Tennis Channel. And I know you and I talked about that a little bit, and you had a great reason why, that they don't pay us. They don't pay USA Racquetball or the US Open to broadcast that. It's the opposite. So talk a little bit about why that's just not a good thing for us to do right now.
Well, I mean, I don't mind paying for airtime, and we did it. The first 14, 15 years of the US Open, we bought airtime on ESPN. And, I happily did it because there was no way for audiences to find the US Open. We actually had to take the US Open to an audience, and ESPN had the audience. So we took the US Open to an audience. Obviously, with technology over the last 25 years, I've been running this tournament, technology has exploded. And the next thing that came along was the Tennis Channel. And that was an audience of people who love racket sports. And I thought, okay, that might be a better audience for the US Open. People who love racket sports. And at the time, squash was broadcasting on there. Table tennis was broadcasting. Badminton was on the Tennis Channel. And I said, you know what? We need to take US Open off of ESPN, and we need to move it to an audience of millions of people that love racket sports. And we did. And we paid. Again, technology continued to evolve to the point now where all those sports, badminton, table tennis, racquetball, obviously, squash, now they can stream their products, and the audiences that love those sports, they can find them.
Right.
They can come to the broadcast. Before, without the Tennis Channel or ESPN, there was no way to reach anybody.
Right.
So everybody's doing their own channel. It started with the Golf Channel, then the Tennis Channel, and those are streamed, by the way, as well. Obviously, they're on cable, but they're also streamed. Many people are just watching those channels streaming now. They're not even subscribing through cable.
Right.
The badminton channel, there's table tennis. Everybody's got their own channel. Yeah. And obviously, IRT and LPRT have their own channels. Right. So rather than create another channel, we're just going to use the IRT and the LPRT's channel. Anybody that loves racquetball can go and watch both broadcasts at the same time. You can even do a split screen if you want, because we have women's matches being broadcast at the same time men's matches are.
Yeah.
And so anyway,
you can get that on your television now.
We've been able to move that along.
Yeah. And I say that I really, the technology has gotten so good, and the broadcast quality is so good now, as opposed to, like you said, a few years ago where the technology wasn't very good. Where I put that up on my 55-inch TV, and it's full HD. It's great to watch on television. I can sit in my comfy chair and watch it, as opposed to, the Tennis Channel was great when that was available, but it was the timing was off for me. I mean, It was broadcast during a time where now you can watch it live.
You can watch it live. You can watch it tape delayed. Anytime you can go to the IRT, everything's archived. LPRT, everything's archived. So you can watch it live or archived, and it's all in HD, which, quite frankly, is the only way you can televise racquetball.
Right.
It does not lend itself to a low-res broadcast. You can't see the ball. Yeah. Squash has the same problem. You can't see the ball in a low-res environment. So we had to wait for the streaming technology to catch up to where we needed it to be. So I stayed on the Tennis Channel for 5 years past when streaming had become widely recognized. But when streaming first was recognized, it was not a high-res product. And so I stayed off of it. But obviously now, no reason not to stream everything.
Yeah, it's amazing how good a quality that is on your television.
Hey, Doug, I got a question for you. So 25th anniversary, right? Let's say this is my first year thinking about going to US Open. What would you tell that new player or first person to do to experience the best US Open they can do? How would you say they should go about experiencing US Open?
Well, I mean, if it's your first U.S. Open, you're going to be blown away.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a story about that. I probably the most frequent question that I get is, you've run the U.S. Open 24 times. Which one's your favorite one? Far and away, that's the number one question that I get. I've probably gotten it 5,000 times. And I have the same answer every time. It's the first one. It was 1996. And the quality of that event is nowhere near what it is today. Not even remotely close.
Yeah.
But the reason I say the first one is the first U.S. Open, it was the first time for everybody to see it. It was everybody's first U.S. Open. And it was so far and away above every racquetball tournament that had ever been run in the sport of racquetball. Mm. We had a portable stadium racquetball court. We had players' villages. I had live entertainment and music. I had laser light shows and booming music. This isn't that impressive to anybody anymore because we've done it 24 times. Yeah. Obviously, we keep upgrading it, but it's incremental upgrades. The reason the first one was my favorite U.S. Open is there was a production tower in the middle. And my office was on the top of that tower. And behind me was the tunnel that everybody had to come through to enter the U.S. Open. And I turned my desk around and I faced the tunnel instead of the portable court. I had my back to the court because I wanted to see everybody's faces as they walked in. Yeah. And it was it was unbelievable. Everybody walked in. Many people would stop and just look around with their mouth open. They'd never seen anything like it in racquetball. Yep. And I got to see that 570 times. That's how many people played in the first U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Wow. And now I only get to see it 50 times, even though there's 800 people in the tournament now, because most people have seen it. So, to answer your question in a very long-winded way,
okay,
the reason to go to the U.S. Open for the first time is you get to experience what those 570 people experienced. You are going to enjoy the event. If it's your first U.S. Open, you're going to enjoy it 10 times more than everybody else there,
right, including
me, because your mouth is going to be open. You've never seen anything like it. And, the rest of us, we got spoiled, And Mike and I have had this conversation, he's terrified. I'm going to retire, and everybody has these expectations of the U.S. Open being up here. And I've been telling him, don't worry about it. You guys are going to do great. You got a great guy in Connor, and I'm going to be there as a consultant to help him transition. I'm going to pass as many sponsors and leads over as I can. And I'm very confident that the tournament will continue in grand fashion. Yeah. But coming to the U.S. Open for the first time, oh my God, I would pay $1 million right now to go back to 1996. Yeah. It was so much fun for me just to watch everybody get blown away. And, and everybody coming up to me, this is amazing. This is amazing. Now, maybe 5 people come up. I'm buried in an office in the back.
Yeah.
I know there's 50 newbies there, but it's hard for me to see them because they blend in with hundreds of veterans. And, it's hard to blow away somebody who's been there 15 times.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what year did you move to Minneapolis?
I'm sorry?
What year did you move to Minneapolis?
This is our 10th year. And,
okay.
Yeah. Actually, this is our 11th. We ran it 14 times in Memphis.
Yeah. And
this will be the 11th time in Minneapolis, so 25.
Yeah. Well, I remember my first time going in Memphis. I went, 7 or 8 times in Memphis before it moved. And you just described exactly what it was when I walked through that tunnel into that court, and it was the court before the new one. Mm-hmm. I was blown away. It truly was exactly you said. I know I stood there and looked stupid with my mouth open, thinking, like, this is amazing. I don't know how we're going to do this, but I have to figure out how to do this. This is incredible. It's not racquetball. It's amazing. So I understand exactly what you're describing, because that was me when I walked into Memphis. And now, for those that haven't been to Minneapolis, it's that on steroids. It's amazing. It really is. So
I've said it.
And
yeah.
Well, and you say that it's got to where it gives me chills every time they start the music up, turn the lights down, the laser lights come on, and they start calling names out to who's coming on the court.
Yep.
And I've gone, I don't know, 18 or 20 times. It still gives me goosebumps that's what racquetball should be. That's it. That's the epitome of racquetball. So you're still giving people goosebumps by doing that, Doug. Just saying.
Yeah, I just wanted to answer his question. What can somebody new look forward to? They get to experience it like nobody else. They get to really be blown away.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I can say from personal experience, right? I'll tell anybody, Maurice, what's your best tournament ever? US Open. Why? Not only because, for me, right, I live in the South, so I don't travel to many tournaments as I would like to, right? So because I've gone so many times, I get to see every friend of mine that I don't get to see often, right? I don't get to see a Doug Ganim every year. I just don't. I get to see him once a year because I don't go north. I just don't. So I'll say hello, and I've got friends in California, pretty much every state. My first U.S. Open, right? I'm not playing pros. I wasn't, I was down there with amateurs, and I'm cool with that. But when I would play and I would win or lose, especially if I lost, I'd say, hey, when's your next match? And then I would go watch them. And so then over the years, when you start doing that multiple times, you develop relationships and friendship with people that you've either played against or you've watched play or whatever. On top of, like Doug saying, you're really right there with the pros. Like, you'll see them if you're at the Target Center, they'll walk by you. And generally, if they're not playing, obviously you're right, if they're playing, they'll be focused. But you can stop them and say hello or whatever. Troy and I are almost 100% next to each other. And anyone who's ever came up and talked to us, we're more than happy to talk to them. Between the quality of matches that are being played from Wednesday all the way through Sunday, I think the qualifiers and some of the early rounds, you just never know who's going to win because the players have been training for this event. Between the players, everybody talking, cheering. You've got countries now cheering for their players at the same time. Between going to the other gyms and watching some of the amateur matches that are incredibly competitive at the same time. Between the food and just the camaraderie that's generally at a U.S. Open, you just can't beat it. From, as Mike said, when you're sitting there watching, I think it's the semis. I know the quarters, I think it starts music, but the semis on through, lights go down and you see the players come through and the spotlight hits the players and you get to see them warm up and then you get to see them transition into being on the court. If you got a gold seat or gold box, the player, if you got the seat there, you've got the player sitting right next to you, or the players waiting for the next match or sitting on the edge waiting for their match. And you get to see, like, man, wow, it's such and such. There's Kane right there. There's Rocky. My first one, I was like, because Atlanta didn't have pro tournaments at that time, right? So when we went, it was like, whoa, like these are the actual pros that you see on YouTube or you see on Tennis Channel or ESPN, and it's like, man, that's Cliff, like that gym over there, and it was having that feeling. If no one ever known, I've worked behind the scenes also, so I got to see it from a different point of view. The amount of work you put in. Obviously, I don't know before, but the amount of work you put in at the event is I don't think people can fathom how much work you genuinely put in and how many questions are you being bombarded with or tasks you got to accomplish all the time throughout the day and still being able to have time year after year after year to have a successful event that people want to come back to. Yeah, it's great to hold an event, but if no one wants to come back to it, what's the point, right? For me, I think my first one was 2013. I've only missed one since then. And I've loved it every single year since then. I'm going this year because it's my favorite tournament of the year. Besides being able to play the division, it doesn't matter. Whether I'm 85, I would still want to go to a U.S. Open just because it's the best event in the world. Yeah. I love it. And so if I can say, I know I'm not the first, I won't be the last, but thank you for everything you do for putting on this event. No, I wasn't able to go to all 25, but the 24 that's been on. I appreciate all the effort that you've put in through it. No, you can't please everybody. Like, it's impossible. There's too many people, right? But for the effort and the amount of work you've been able to put in for my vote is you've always ran a successful event, and I appreciate that. You know, yes, it's going to be sad to see you go, but like you're saying, you're going to do everything you can to make it successful. I appreciate everything you've ever done for it.
Well, thanks. You know,
how many countries show up?
You mentioned one thing that really I didn't touch on earlier. It's really the people.
Yeah.
The U.S. Open, if you had to pick one thing, obviously there's the spectacle of it and the lights and all that stuff and the portable court, and that's cool. But, you know, it's the only racquetball tournament in the world that everybody's at.
Yep.
There's 18 countries there.
18,
People from Japan and Ireland and all throughout South America and Canada and Mexico. And, you know, people are speaking all these different languages at the U.S. Open. And there's juniors there running around. There's amateurs. There's pros. There's board members. There's state presidents. There's everybody in racquetball comes together.
Yep.
And it's the only tournament that brings everybody together.
Yeah.
International amateurs, international pros, men and women. We have age brackets from 19 plus to 85 and over.
Yep.
So all age brackets, singles and doubles, mixed doubles. You know, it is the total melting pot of everybody who's anybody in racquetball. People ask me, what's the best volunteer job? The best volunteer job is to be a shuttle driver. I'll tell you why. You work a 4-hour shift or 5-hour shift, and you got about 20 people on your bus every loop. And that is a time that you can personally meet them.
Yep.
So you have 15 to 20 people on your bus, and you got a kid from Japan, and you got another guy from Georgia, and another guy from Florida, somebody from Costa Rica, and the shuttle bus drivers that really get it, they actually spend the whole drive talking to the people.
Yep.
You know, hey, who do I have on my bus today? Introduce yourself back there, and you know, and they go through the thing, and I'm telling you, they make friends all over the world. And you drive one 4-hour shift, you're going to meet over 100 players personally.
Yeah.
You drive a shift 2 or 3 days in a row, you're going to meet half the tournament, and you're going to know them by a first name basis. And I could tell you stories about people who've gotten jobs, people who've gotten interviews, networking. I mean, just an endless amount of contacts have been made if you're a shuttle bus driver. Yeah. A lot of the other jobs, ticket checkers, and, you know, you just stand there checking tickets. You don't really talk to the people. You're just, okay, you can pass through, you can pass through, you can pass through. They're trapped on your shuttle bus. And they can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And you got them for 15, 20 minutes. And I'm telling you, by the end of the week, the shuttle bus drivers are like rock stars. They walk through the tournament, and everybody's like, hey, Maurice, hey, Maurice. It's all the people that Maurice drove on the shuttle over the last 5 days.
Yep.
They know his name.
Yep.
He knows their name.
Yeah. And that's where you're right. Like that's why it was the first thing I meant, because that's what's the best part about the U.S. Open is from the second I get, most of the time it's a connecting flight to Minneapolis. So a lot of times my connecting flight, I'll know somebody going. By the time I land, give me 2 hours, because I'll wait for Troy to land if our flights aren't the same, or vice versa. I've seen 20 to 30 people I've met throughout the years. Then by the time I get there, and this is Tuesday, by the time I get to the facility, you see everybody getting ready, either maybe checking in or just getting on the course trying to get ready, or just seeing the facility, right? Okay, yep. I've seen X amount of people doing that. And then by the time I get there Wednesday, which I think actually Wednesday to check in. Then I get there Wednesday, and then now you're playing. Now everybody's at the facility. And now we're talking about people that you haven't seen for, if they didn't come last year, or if you haven't seen them in a while, catching up. And people first name like, oh man, hey, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a while. And then before, I used to play amateurs a lot. So even now to this day, I do my best to try and go back over there. One, because my friends and my family still playing over there too. And it's like, you know, one year I got Maurice, why are you over here? You know, you played pros, didn't you? Yeah. Why are you over here? Because amateurs still count too. Like, it doesn't matter if you're playing pros or an open division. Yeah. I never won Ds. I never won A's or elite ever. So why would I forget wherever it came from? It doesn't matter what skill you have. If you love the court, or if you love playing racquetball and you have the joy, what's wrong with it? I'm going to support whoever they are, whether they're bad or good. I don't care if it's your first day or you playing over.
It's one of the reasons I really encourage people to stay in the host hotels because, you're going to meet hundreds of racquetball players there. If you're staying in a hotel that's $10 cheaper, 6 blocks away, there's no racquetball players there. So, spend an extra $10 and have 10 times the fun. So anyway,
you just never know who you're going to run into in the elevator. It always just is so much fun taking the elevator because you're in there with racquetball people, and like you said, it's the who's who of racquetball. If you want to talk to people that are involved in racquetball, that's the place to be. It's incredible. It really is.
Yep.
Well, that's all, Doug. I think that's all the questions I've got. You've answered all of them really well. Maurice, anything left on your list?
No, I mean, I've already gave Doug his flowers. I want to give it to you when I get to see you in person. Obviously, when I get there, I'm going to tell you again. Thank you for everything you've done.
Appreciate it.
And if I'm pretty sure if I ever have any questions, just reach out to Doug. But
you mentioned the shuttle bus. I know that you're still looking for some volunteers. I saw an email go out last week. So
we're looking for volunteers throughout the event. We need security. We need shuttle. We need some hospitality helpers. And people have been responding. I got a dozen responses from the first email, and it'll go out a couple more times. But once we're full, then we'll cut those off. Probably the biggest, most urgent thing right now is get yourself a hotel room in one of the host hotels. If you're booked somewhere else, cancel it and call and try to get, or call first and get one of those last rooms at Embassy or Hampton or Hyatt Centric, and then cancel your other room. You'll have a lot more fun.
Right.
And then you want to enter the tournament soon. We are on record pace for entries. So
and just looking at the numbers that they had in the Denver event were phenomenal. That was such a good event, and if that's an indicator at all of what the numbers are going to be like at the U.S. Open, it's going to fill up quick. So get your entry in soon. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, Doug. Always enjoy the conversation.
Yep.
So have a good evening.
You too.
All
right. That's great. That's always fun. Doug's such a professional and has done such a phenomenal job with this. I'm just glad we're going to get to keep him around, helping us out as we transition this a little bit. So we've got every intention and every plan to make this as big as it's been and keep that going. Doug set a pretty big standard.
Yeah, no, I mean, I told him it's always been a fantastic event. He set the bar fairly high.
Yeah, and I completely agree that to me the greatest experience of the Open, once you get past the lights and the lasers, is just all the people you get to see.
Yep.
You mentioned all the different countries and all the different people that come from all over the world to come to this. It's that big an event that a lot of people I talk to locally that have never been to the U.S. Open, they're mistaken in their perception is they think it's just another tournament. People come from all over the world to come to this tournament. This isn't just another racquetball tournament. It really is. It's the pinnacle of racquetball. So if you get a chance, book a trip, get a hotel. If you volunteer, and as he said, there'll be another email coming out.
Definitely.
Volunteer to do. There's some good perks in volunteering. So help run the event.
If you're on the fence about coming, telling you it's the best one. And then if you're like, Maurice, well, I don't know nobody who am I going to hang out with? If you see me, feel free to come up. If you've got a question, you want to talk, you want to hang out, if you want to be introduced to somebody, if you want to do whatever, if you want to know, hey, what should I do? Feel free. Me and Troy are more than happy to talk to anybody. I promise you.
And I think that's the way most racquetball players are. It's one of the greatest things about it. You were talking about sitting in the lounge, talking to some of the pros or having the guys come up and talk to you.
Yep.
The players are accessible like that. A lot of sports, you don't get that. If you go to the U.S. Open in tennis, your odds of sitting down and having a Dairy Queen dilly bar with one of the top players is really unlikely.
None. Yeah.
At the U.S. Open, you got a pretty good chance.
I mean, we are visible. You will hear me in Troy most likely, but you will definitely, and that's what I can't express enough. I mean, I'm looking forward to even seeing you, right? Yeah, just like I was like, you're a friend of mine, right? Like I care if you're okay. I want to see, hey, Mike, how you doing? Yeah, we get to communicate, but it's different when you get to say, yo, what's up, Mike? Tell me what's going on. What's Dad doing? Like it's different. And then for a lot of people where you can't connect to that yet, and you get to see them and then have that experience over and over and over and over and over again. That's why I go to tournaments. Because to me, the people, you're only on the court, even at US Open, 30% of the time for the amount of days, 40%, maybe 60% of the time, what else are you doing? Right? You're going to be around people. It's the best event in the world. So sign up. If you can volunteer, please volunteer too.
Racquetball is a really big family of people. And you just get to hang around. The player village is open to everybody, and all the booths and all the vendors and everybody's in there. So you go sit in there at a table and you will find a lot of people to ask questions about. If you want to grow your game, you'll find players to ask questions about. There are a lot of things going on. So it's worth the trip. Make the trip. It is absolutely worthwhile. Well, I think that kind of wraps up our show, Maurice. That was a lot of fun.
This was I'm having more fun each show. Not saying I didn't. Loving this, Mike. We a team. We a duo.
This is good. Absolutely. I look forward to seeing you at the Open. Probably be the next time.
Yeah.
And since you're a board member, you get stuck in the all-day board meeting on Wednesday.
You had to just stab that in there. You just had to. You just slip that in there.
All this fun. But you still have to do a little bit of work. And
right. Hopefully I'm qualifying. Hopefully I would have qualified or am done qualifying by that time. Hopefully. You got that wink. You know, I'm just saying.
Well, I think Doug will help your schedule so that you can still make the meeting.
I'm kidding. Nah, it's cool. Nah, I want to be there. Absolutely.
All right. I know. It really is a lot of fun. It's great. We spend so much time in Zoom meetings that once or twice a year, it's great to sit down and actually get to see everybody. So that's cool.
True.
Well, we're going to wrap up. I want to wish everybody a good night. Thank you so much for watching the show. Hopefully we were able to answer some of your questions. Doug did a great job answering all of those questions. If you have more, please send them to us. We promise we will get to those and we will get them put on the show and get them answered. Share the feed. Share this link. When the video is posted, please share it out. There's a lot of good information. We want to get it out to everybody we possibly can. And we have a little bit of a different time for the next show. Game 26 of the Real Racquetball Show will be September the 7th. I believe the 6th is Labor Day. So we're bumping it, and it's actually on Tuesday, the 7th. I'll look at my schedule real quick to make sure I'm talking about the right thing and not steering anybody wrong. But it is the 7th.
You're right, yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that's the Tuesday after Labor Day.
Yeah.
And we would move it a week and keep it on Monday, but there's a board meeting. So we're going to be able to just move it to the 7th.
Yep.
It's the day after Labor Day. And we want everybody to tune in. And we will have another special guest for Game 7.
Ooh.
And everybody will want to come listen to this gentleman. I'm sure most of you know who Mike Coulter is.
Ooh.
He runs Three Wall Ball in Las Vegas. And Mike's going to join us on the September 7th show and talk to us a little bit about Three Wall Ball and how he builds all those courts and puts on that amazing outdoor event. So join us on September 7th. Mike will be on to chat up and talk to us about Three Wall Ball. And I know the sites are up, so go to the U.S. Open. You got a week off, then you can go to the Three Wall Ball, spend some time in Vegas, time outside in the sun, get a sunburn. All right. Well, Maurice, this has been a lot of fun. Always great chatting with you, and it was great to throw Doug into the mix and chat with him a little bit also. So,
absolutely. Good to talk to you again, Mike.
Good to see you.
Next time.
Everybody have a good evening. Good
night.
Bye.